Here we go. All right. So today, what are we talking about today? Let me see. Get my notes up. Today. Okay. So let's talk about I like this topic a lot. Let's talk about the strength that doesn't shatter joints. The strength that doesn't shatter joints. So the hook for you guys to know really what we're talking about is basically you don't need to crush your body to grow. You need sustainable stress. So in that, really what we're going to do in this episode is kind of break down how to go about that, right? We have a lot of questions on that. And so some of those questions are, well, what do I do? How often do I train? Well, let's just leave those two. So the body, let's do this. So a friend of mine had this analogy. Basically, your body is like climbing a mountain. Okay, I hope I'm getting this right. Hopefully he when he hears this, he's like, you did a good job. When your body's like climbing a mountain, right? If you constantly get to the peak of that mountain, do you have anywhere else up to go? No. Right? You've hit the peak, so you only have down to go, right? And I think that might have been, was that Dan John? Somebody else, very professional. I'm sorry I don't remember who said this, but gave this analogy, but I'm giving this to you. So if we find out the name, you can give them credit because this was not my idea. I just love the analogy. So if you climb the mountain, right? So that's why in the training world, we call what we want our clients to do sub-maximal effort. Meaning, I want you to get to a certain point where I want you to get to a certain point where you're 70% of the way there, 80% of the way there, right? So that when we come back, and what that is that's leaving something in the tank. Doesn't really work for a lot of grinders, a lot of hard chargers, a lot of my Uber internal competitors. It doesn't work like that a lot for you. You just have to recognize the way that I frame this typically is what you want to do is give me 70 to 80% effort, 40% of your week, right? When that happens, when you come back, if you've measured it right, that 70, 80% should be easier than the time before, so you have space to grow. So the way that I frame this is that 70 to 80% of your training ability is actually your new 100%. That is you giving me your max effort in that time, right? That is your new 100%. Now, is it true? No. Is it a psychological play? Yes. What that ends up doing is it leaves some margin and some grace for your body to adapt. If your body redlines every single time, you're only going to shatter your joints and your tissues. You don't want to do that because if we're talking about longevity over the course of time, like in our previous episode, we talked about really allowing our vision to be longer than it was before. In this category, then you're going to really want to leave something in the tank. And that is actually your new effort. That is your mark of success. Not did I max out, did I burn out, did I hit my every lift at burnout every single time, but did I leave something in the tank for me to be able to walk out and be confident that I still got a good sweat, I still got a good burn, I still got a good lift, and I'm coming back the next day or two, and I'm going to be able to hit it again with the same amount of effort. That is the paradigm shift you have to have later on in your career, right? So instead of sprinting down the mountain, traverse it down in a way that you can consistently go longer than having to sprint, rest for 3 times as long as you should. Or do you want to move and never really have to rest for very long? Or do you sprint, hit a rock, and you end up busting your knee because you fell faster than you should have? You couldn't even control the rate at which you were going, and that leads to injury. Happens in life. It's going to happen in the gym. It's going to happen in the field. It's going to happen wherever you're doing your workouts and your training in the movement side of things. So strength that doesn't shatter. So that's one way of looking at it. And then how do we actually go about that? So same way I'm doing with everything else. let's go ahead and create the plan of action that actually gets you to follow that pattern. So you're working on a movement pattern's sake. You're working practically on compound lifts. You're working practically through ranges of motion that you are safe in. That's what you're doing. So being able to do things that you are confident and competent to do with the specific range of motion that you can utilize. It pulls it back a lot, and it really tears down your ego, and it really causes you to not be prideful and wanting to lift all the weight that you maybe have lifted 10 or 15 years before, or even a few years before. Your fitness growth, your health growth, your level of success is measured by your new day one, not by the day one of 3 years ago when I was, hitting CrossFit with Jim Rooney, right? You're actually day one. This is my day one. I'm going to figure out. I did the plan Mitchell told me. I was like, all right, cool. I got a week, a month, a quarter set. I know how much frequency. I got my accountability buddy. I got all these things set. Cool. What was my ability in that time frame? This is what we're able to do, right? That's my measure of success from my new day one. So that's how we really strengthen so that our bones don't shatter, so we end up not getting injured. Tweaks and strains and uncomfortableness, some things are going to happen because your body's not used to moving with those patterns. So you just pull it back, dial it back, and move through those issues and challenges. Don't rest. Don't take time off. Work through them at a different capacity, where your capacity was 7 or 8 when you were actually quote unquote healthy and good to go. If you tweaked or strained something, work that through at a 3. Have the ego set aside and say, this is what I'm able to do. This is my ability to stay in this. That's how you stay away from shattering yourself and having to rebuild every single time. All right, so I think that pretty much covers it. I don't know if I need to cover that any further. But that's really how we're going to load ourselves, how we're going to have structural. I'll say this. Compound lifts, you don't need to barbell squat. Compound lifts, you don't need to barbell deadlift. Compound lifts, you don't need to max out and go as heavy as you possibly can. Quality over quantity, and then the quantity shows up. So when you look up certain things like Bulgarian split squats, when you look up certain things like reverse lunges, you're moving in every plane of motion. You're doing these things. I want you to break the paradigm of who told you actually had to barbell squat in order to gain muscle and get stronger. It is a paradigm that you had when you were younger. Maybe you don't need it now. Body might not be able to handle it the right way, and you don't even move the same way. So instead, why not work through things like split squats, or learn how to do a goblet squat with a really heavy dumbbell, manipulate the way that you move your body, but still challenge your body to that 70 to 80%. And then lastly, on a more training standpoint, what you're going to really want to do is recognize that the movement pattern doesn't change. And maybe I'll talk about this in the next episode. You have 5 movement patterns: push, pull, squat, hinge, rotate. As long as you do those, however it looks, you're going to be really well off. So hit those 5 movement patterns in some way, shape, or form throughout your week, instead of just thinking, I can only barbell squat, I can only deadlift. There's 1,000 ways to skin this cat. Make sure that you're just going about the movement pattern, but how you do it is really relative to you and your fitness, and making sure that you're going about it to the capacity that you can, and that's your new starting point. All right, so hope that helps you guys, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.